So the big day will be on 22nd, the day of Pran Pratishtha. The work has started in every nook and corner in terms of beautification, in terms of completion of the project, in terms of how Ayodhya as a city would look on the day. But 29th is also going to be a big day. So keep tuned in to News9 Live, because on 29th, the idol, which will be the main idol, that Sanctum Sanctorum will occupy, the decision on that will also be taken. I'm joined by Arun, Anand, a noted author, who has written extensively on Ayodhya, who's written extensively on the movement, on Hindutva. Arun, how do we see this, the work of Jeernodhar or renovation? Can it just be limited to temple? Is it a symbol of New India? Is it also a symbol of the fact that something in terms of social governance has changed in this country, which is it's like a break from the past?
Kartikeya, first I want to thank you for inviting me for this discussion.
Oh, always be
Uh,
my pleasure. Always be my pleasure, Arun.
yeah, thank you. See, uh, I always say this, and I think this is the thought process also behind those who have kind of run this movement. I'll start with this thing. The first resolution, which of course, we know that RSS has been the main force behind this movement. Now, the first resolution which RSS had passed was in 1959, as far as the temple was concerned, and it was not on Ram Janmabhoomi, it was on Kashi. But then in 1983 onwards, the movement for Ram Janmabhoomi, it took off, and I think contrary to the general perception that it was the RSS which built the movement, it was actually there was a general kind of mood among the society to start that movement, and in fact, the BJP came pretty later on in 1989 when it passed a resolution in its Palampur convention regarding Ram Temple, and even RSS also plunged full-fledged into this movement a couple of years later when the mood had really been built. And interestingly, it was ex-Congress leader Daudayal Khanna who had brought this idea of Ram Janmabhoomi liberation or building up a Ram temple in a meeting at Muradabad in 1983, where the former Prime Minister Guljari Lal Nanda was also present, and the then senior functionary of RSS, who later became the RSS Sarsang Chalak, what many people call RSS chief. Rajju Bhaiya was also present. Rajju Bhaiya was not Sarsang Chalak at that time. I think he was Sar Karyawar General Secretary at that time. Anyway, so this movement, so he brought this issue up, and then later on, a meeting was held of the different spiritual leaders and different leaders of different Hindu sects in Vigyan Bhavan. Then a resolution was passed there, and Shri Ram Janmabhoomi Mukti Yajna Samiti was formed, and this is how then the movement took off. Vish Hindu Parishad, RSS, all these people basically came later on. Actually, this movement was, started by the various what you call the leaders of religious leaders of various Hindu sects. And so this also sets up this also gives you a very interesting point that it is not that RSS generally sets up an agenda and then mobilizes the society to move according to that agenda. Contrary to that, RSS sees that what is the mood of the society and then it follows that agenda. Otherwise, should have started, the the agitation for, Kashi before the Ram Janmabhoomi. For RSS and those who have run this movement, it is not a religious issue. It's basically a core civilizational issue. They feel that, I'll just put it simply to end my comment, that they simply say that it's a clash of civilizational values. On one hand, you had Babri Mosque or the disputed structure represented those civilizational values that where you cannot coexist if you do not follow my or a particular way of worship. Whereas the Ram temple is an indication that you can coexist, and that feeling of and that essence of Vasudhaiva
Okay.
Kutumbakam.
But why are people so surprised? In 1950s, when Sardar Patel and Madan Mohan Malviya, they got Somnath temple renovated. Why is it a surprise that, when the Prime Minister goes to a religious site, I mean to say, no one was surprised in 1950s. Nehru didn't go, but the entire Congress, a big section of the Congress party, actually funded the renovation of Somnath temple.
See, it's largely, I think, Kartikeya, you have also provided the answer to this question to a large extent, and you have been tracking Congress, for so long, and your understanding of the Congress. So we have is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I have seen. See, the thing is that Congress was largely a centrist party at that time. Or largely, Congress had a significant section of people who leaders. You had like Purushottam Das Tandon, and as you mentioned, Sardar Patel and Madan Mohan Malviya. So, and even Shyama Prasad Mukherjee at one point of time was part of the cabinet, Nehru cabinet. So there was a significant there were a significant number of leaders who were right of the center. So it was quite possible. But what happened post 1962 war, and especially when Indira Gandhi came, and the Congress started moving towards left of the center, and that's how the to be a Hindu, to assert being to assert yourself as a Hindu, or to even pronounce yourself as a Hindu, so it became quite a liability in Congress, and Congress put the Hindu society on defensive. I remember in 1980s, there used to be the situation was so bad that RSS and its inspired organizations were running a campaign. It's called Garv Se Kaho Hum Hindu Hain. Merely, to put that sticker on your car or scooter, or on your refrigerator or on your Almira. So that itself, was considered to be something very big. So I think this Congress, and now Congress has completely moved towards hard left. So that's why, because till I'll just give
Arun,
you a
I'm
small
just stopping
piece.
you here. You use the
Yeah.
word hard left. Let me play out bite of Sitaram Yechuri on this. Then people will know what hard left is.
पहली बात तो ये है कि नृपेंद्र मिश्रा साहब एक वीएचपी के नेता के साथ आकर हमें आमंत्रण किया और ये आमंत्रण हम स्वीकार किए। उसके बाद हमने उन्होंने पूछा नहीं आएंगे या नहीं आएंगे, तो उसको जवाब नहीं दिया। अब ये बाकी ये जो प्रचार जो चल रही है, लेकिन इसके अंदर एक बात स्पष्ट रखना चाहूँगा मैं। देखिए, धर्म जो है वो एक पवित्र संबंध है एक आत्मा और एक परमात्मा के बीच में। कौन होगा परमात्मा जिसके अंदर आस्था है हर व्यक्ति का, वो आस्था का हम पूरी की पूरी इज्जत करते हैं, संरक्षण करते हैं, वो अधिकार का हर इंसान के लिए। तो जहां तक आस्था और धर्म की बात है, उनके लिए हमारा पूरा का पूरा इज्जत है, रेस्पेक्ट। लेकिन
And now, let me play out the bite of Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, who gave a counter to that. Former union minister, I'll play that out bite little later. But let me go to Arun. Arun, we were talking about the hard left, the turn which the Congress has taken. But what will be the journey of Kashi and Mathura then? You're saying that the Kashi was an issue taken up by RSS way before Ayodhya. So what will be their life? Because both have become sub judice now. Can you unmute yourself?
See, there are two significant differences in this. One is that when RSS had taken up that, they had not actually taken up the cause, but they had passed a resolution in 1959. RSS did not had that kind of strength. Neither they had, that kind of, nor there was a situation. We know that at that time it was Bharatiya Janata Sangh, who later became BJP. So it was Congress dominated political scene, and that kind of political support was not there, as we can see the kind of political support is there now with BJP being in power. So one is that the situation is pretty different, but one thing is very clear, that it will be done ultimately through the routes of through the judicial route. That RSS has been very clear about it. I think BJP has also been very clear about it, that the law of the land has to be followed. That's why even after the Allahabad High Court decision had come, and most of the key issues had been settled in the Allahabad High Court decision on Ram Janmabhoomi. But even after that, for more than a decade, in which almost half a dozen chief justice got retired, and the case started again on the bench. But they waited, and they never said that we will not accept the decision. Whatever the decision of the Supreme Court, they said that they will accept it. So this is exactly the same route they are going to take. I think the Places of Worship Act, I think that will be under scanner, and that will have to see whether they can skirt around that or whether it is going to get amended. So I think that would be an interesting thing, because if they try to amend it, I think people will go against that to the judiciary. But largely it will be either through a legislative process, or it will be through a judicial process, or it will be through a combination of both these things. I think this is what we are witnessing right now in Gyanvapi Masjid case and in Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi case also. And they also know that they are in for a long haul. When Balasaheb Devaraj, the third Sarsang Chalak, when he was asked by the RSS senior functionaries that whether we should, whether the organization should go into the Ram Janmabhoomi movement. So at that time he had said that it will take at least 3 decades and a lot of energy of the organization. So if you want to take up this, that's for the all the top brass to decide. So if my understanding is that RSS would be looking at both these places in terms of reconstruction of Bhavya temple, just as they have done in Ayodhya, and doing away with the mosques there, but through a legislative process and in for a long haul, probably at least a couple of decades.
Okay, Arun, before I let go of you, in last 40 years, the idea of RSS became monodimensional to a lot of people. It got inextricably linked to Ayodhya. But RSS is a multi-dimensional organization. Post Ayodhya, post 22nd, what will be its, narrative engagement? 2018 when Mohan Bhagwat did a bigger press conference, the whole shift was to the idea of Hindutva, it was not on Ram temple. So post 22nd of January, will there be a shift?
No, I don't think there will be a shift in post 2022. In fact, over the last couple of decades, see, when RSS plans something, they do it at a scale of 30, 40 years. So they had started it a couple of decades back, and I think they'll continue with that. They're focusing more and more on what you call the Samajik Samrasta. And that's why, this Shri Ram temple will also kind of become a kind of an a fulcrum in for that movement, where people belonging to all castes can get under that umbrella of Hindutva. And the focus of RSS has been on removing the fault lines created by the caste discrimination and serving the marginalized sections of the society, empowering them, the socio-economically backward. I think that is they will continue to work on, and that is how they look at temples also. That in the
And
ancient
that is
India
how they look at
also.
Ayodhya also, sort of a
Yes,
unifying factor, which
yes,
overcomes the caste faults.
absolutely, absolutely, you're correct.
But I
They
think
look at
that's
it.
the mistake the left has been making. They only locate Ram Mandir, Ram temple, Ram movement in just context of religiosity. They don't locate it in context of cultural rejuvenation and people to blur the caste identities. Arun, is it correct?
Yeah, Kartikeya, can you
I said that
can
people, I think the mistake which the left is making is to only locate Ram temple as a religious place of worship. They don't
see
see
that
the larger cultural issue attached to
absolutely.
it, social issue attached to
Ab-
it.
Absolutely, but and I'll tell you from where they fundamentally flawed understanding because of the Marxist framework. I was listening to the bite which you had played of Sitaram Yechuri, where he was talking about where he could not differentiate dharma with religion. There is a difference
Correct.
between dharma and religion. He was talking about dharma. Dharma is a way of life. Religion is a way of worship. Supreme Court has said that Hinduism or is a dharma. Hinduism is not a religion. It's a way of, it's not a particular way of worship. So there
Absolutely.
can be overall umbrella under which Muslims, Christians, you may call it Sanatan, you
Arun,
may
even
call it
Krishna in
Hindu.
Gita never spoke about religion, he spoke about dharma.